Thanks very much, Colette. Good morning to everyone and to all of those who are listening in virtually as well. Thank you so much for the invite to Laoghaire-Rathdown to present at this NOAC Best Practice event. I'm delighted to be here and a lovely welcome in Kilkenny. So I'm going to present on the virtual County Development Plan room. So what is it? Basically, it was an online consultation room set up to allow users access to a virtual consultation of the Laoghaire-Rathdown draft County Development Plan that went out on display back in January 2021. And the aim was to provide a comprehensive and interactive space capable of hosting the entire development plan. And for those of you familiar with county development plans, I suppose you'll know they've become very lengthy. And let's face it, they're not always the most accessible for the public, yet they are hugely important for members and our communities. So it meant that we were trying to engage with those who mightn't normally engage, and we also meant people were able to view it from their own homes or from their phone, etc. So look, I'm just going to talk a little bit very briefly about the pre-draft consultation, the challenges we faced, as Colette alluded to, around COVID. Then I'm going to bring you through the virtual draft plan display briefly, including a video, and then a bit of how it worked, and then the feedback. So as you know, every 6 years in each local authority, the elected members review and make the new county development plan. And there are 3 statutory public consultation phases. There's the one at the pre-draft stage, when you go out before you've done anything and ask for the community's views on what they wish to have contained in that important plan. Then there's the draft plan phase where you actually have to put out the draft plan. And this was the phase where we used the virtual room, and then there's the amendments. So look, plans were traditionally quite succinct, but they've become very complex. We have environmental reports, flood risk assessment, housing strategies, etc. So there is a real challenge in trying to engage with citizens and get them involved and get the information out there in a clear manner. Even pre-COVID, we knew we had to look at things a little bit differently, that we really needed a communication strategy before we even commenced. And so we were working very closely with our comms section in Laoghaire-Rathdown. So when we kicked off the pre-draft consultation, it was January, February 2020, a pre-COVID world, but that aside, we were going with much more interactive and online consultation. So the top left there, you have the traditional pre-draft consultation booklet, but we had it there as a flip book on the right online. And we also had a story map that my colleague Helen Bradley, a GIS officer who's here with me today, had developed. So that's an interactive map-based tool that went down very well with the public. We used videos and social media. So the left-hand bottom corner there is one of the planners, Emma, doing a little piece on Instagram. And then that was picked up and retweeted there in the middle by one of our local politicians. So we were really trying to engage with others that wouldn't normally engage. But then fast forward to the draft plan display. We had our draft plan done. It was December 2020. It needed to go out on display in January 2021. So we obviously had significant challenges around COVID that many of you would have faced. But like so many other local authority services, and I think the Laoghaire and Kilkenny alluded to it earlier, we didn't down tools, we had to adapt, we had to be agile, and we kept going. I was very lucky that my colleague Zara Horan, who's also here today, had spearheaded this idea of using a virtual room to display the draft plan. And she'd worked with Circa Donoghue in our comms department, who was really positive about the idea. So we'd started looking at it back in October, but then with COVID, we needed to move quickly on it. Our comms department had asked us to do a video, which was very much pushing us out of our comfort zone. And I'll show you a little bit of that later, but it proved to be really useful because it really got the message out there. So look, this is actually into the virtual room. So this is the picture that you would see when you go down into it, and I'll go down into it in a minute. It was set in a real live venue. So what you can see in the background there is actually Dalkey Castle Heritage Centre. And this went down very well with the community. It wasn't an anonymous virtual setting. It was an actual real space. And it has allowed a complete mirroring of a physical display by hosting the display in an actual room. It was very user-friendly in terms of the feedback we got. It was accessible and inclusive. Again, allowing us to reach that demographic who don't typically attend physical consultation events. You got into it via the County Council website, so when I bring you in now, it'll be via that route, and you were directed into the room to explore the draft plan. And it was also promoted via social media. And then when people rang about the plan, we told people it was available online and this interactive room, and they were very happy to view it in that format. So I'll bring you through it now. I'm just going to hop into Edge, and I'm just going to ask Darren to make sure it goes up on the screen. So just to give you a little flavour of it, when you're down in the room, there's the video. You could click then on this box to actually make a submission. So it brought you through to our Citizen Space page, and you could make your submission there then. If I scroll around, we had our statutory notice, our timeline where we were in the process. We had an information board here about the strategic county outcomes. I'll cover those in the video, and our core strategy map. And then we had our 15 chapters, and you could click into any of those chapters and very easily navigate them. And then if you travel down to the end of the room, we had maps and appendices, and you were also, again, able to make a submission. And as part of the mapping, we had the traditional county development plan maps, but Helen had also worked on an interactive GIS map-based tool, and this was really, really useful and allowed people just to click in very easily. So I'm just going to click in. Some of you will know Blackrock. It's a small suburban village in the county. And then you could click on any item. I'll just bring us in a little bit closer. So you could see everything in pink there is the village area, and if you click on that, it would tell you it's zoned objective DC to protect and or improve for district centre facilities. And then if you click out into Dublin Bay, it was giving you the various environmental protections. And if you click on any of the orange buildings, these are actually protected structures. It would tell you the former post office, the location, and what map it was on, etc. So really easy. You could look up via address as well. So the final bit I'm just going to show you is going to be the video, and I'm just going to let a little bit of this run. I don't think we've time to show the full, so I'm just going to show the first few minutes, and I'm afraid it's going to be me again, so apologies, but it'll give you a flavour. Hi, my name is Louise McGauran. I'm a senior planner in Laoghaire-Rathdown County Council on the development plan team. I'm here today to talk to you about our draft county development plan, which is currently out on display. So I think the first question people would have is, what is a county development plan? And put very simply, it sets a framework for future development in the county for the period 2022 up to 2028. The plan is underpinned by 5 strategic county outcomes, and they include things like creation of a climate resilient county, really recognising the importance of climate action to people, and also creation of a vibrant economic county and creation of a compact and connected county. There's enough land zoned in the county to accommodate up to 20,000 new homes over the lifetime of the plan. And these would be new homes that would be ideally really well served by public transport and have great pedestrian and cycle links to all the things that you need, such as schools, jobs, open space, pitches, playgrounds, shops and healthcare facilities. So where is this new growth going to take place? It'll take place in 2 types of areas, either within what we call the existing built-up area, so that's towns you know like Dundrum, Dunleary, Goatstown, Nutgrove, Cabinteely, Dalkey and Blackrock, or else it's going to take place in what we call new residential communities, and that'll be places like Woodbrook, Shangana, where we have a local area plan, and we have a brand new DART station planned for that area to serve that growth. Also, Old Connor and Rathmichael, where we have new local area plans going to be prepared, and Kiltiernan and Glenamuck, where we have some major new infrastructure coming to serve new development. So this morning, I'm actually in a new neighbourhood in Ballyogan called Clay Farm, and as you can see, it's got a really good mix of homes. It's got either apartments or houses. It's got a brand new eco park running along the valley. It's got a playground, and it's got a fantastic greenway that links it in with the existing neighbourhoods in the area. It's all located on the Lewis line, which gives great access down to one of our strategic employment nodes in Sandyford and also to our major town centre in Dundrum. Okay, so I think that gave a flavour of the video. So I'm just going to pop back into the PowerPoint. Great, and I'm just going to end on this slide, which is the feedback as to whether it was a success. In our view, it was. We did a total of 4,280 visits during the display period to the virtual room, and this was substantially greater than the number who would have viewed the plan back on our website back in 2015 in the previous review. The level of engagement was also much higher. We received over 1,200 submissions, and that would have been 70% up on what we would have received on the previous plan. So that was a huge increase. And I suppose there's the two quotes then that would have come in by way of submissions as well that I think are important. People welcomed the design attention to detail, but also welcomed the layout and the virtual room options. They found it accessible and that the individual documents are really well laid out. So we actually got positive comments coming in submissions, which was great. We felt it was a really, looking corporately, it was a very sustainable means of achieving our corporate goals around climate action. It was reducing the need to travel to view the plan, and there was also a reduction in the use of printed material. It also promoted inclusivity and access for all. And it would have also touched on those goals that Dara referred to in terms of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So it was achieving in that regard as well. And it was very economic in costing as well. We were surprised that both the video and then the virtual room came in good value as well. I just wanted to talk about two examples, and I suppose they're kind of bringing it back down to the more local level of how it really worked. One is in terms of the media coverage. So on the right was an article that appeared in the Irish Times just after the draft plan went out on display, and when we read it we realised much of it was word for word from what was in the video, and that was great. It meant the message that we wanted to get out there about what was in the members' draft plan that they had made was going out there, so that was a real positive. And then just to end, I suppose, on another one, on a Friday evening, our secretariat got a call from someone who wasn't happy. A member of the public felt their submission hadn't been considered and they wanted the director to ring them back. They got myself ringing them back instead. And when I introduced myself, they said, "Oh, I saw you in the video, that was really good." And they just, their tone changed. And, that's what we're about. We're delivering public service and communicating with the citizens in the county. And it was great to see that. So thanks a million. That's me finishing up on the presentation. Thanks for listening.